Outstanding, the ultimate accolade for teachers. We challenge secondary teacher Rebecca Wills to go from good to outstanding. A top inspector will observe one lesson. 2 experts will fine-tune her practice and beef up her presentation. She then gets 2 weeks to take on the advice before the inspector comes back for the final verdict.
The pressure on yourself is quite hard because you're thinking, will I be outstanding?
Rebecca Wills is a modern foreign languages teacher. She's been teaching for 2 years.
I'm one of those people who's always wanted to do teaching. It matches my personality. I'm lively, I like to talk, I like to be in control, I like to do everything from the front. How to give students more ownership of their work, that's something I would quite like help with, and not feel that that's a bad thing, that I'm not in control of every minute of the learning.
Beal High School is a large, mixed, comprehensive in Essex. The MFL department rates her teaching as good.
We all know what very good is, but to reach that outstanding, I think sometimes that little leap is what we all struggle with. I don't want to just get into a routine of this is what I do for this lesson. I want to push myself because I want to try and challenge and improve the way that I'm teaching.
Rebecca will focus this challenge on her Year 8.
They're a mixed ability class. They have done French already in Year 7, and then they're now taking up German as their second language. That tells you all like how to say 30th or whatever 20th. They're a lively group, some lively characters, but also some very hard-working students as well. Generally, they're quite a pleasure to teach. Dick! I am really looking forward to the whole process and seeing what I need to do to improve, and hopefully seeing my teaching improve over the next few weeks.
It's the morning of her observation. Time for some reassurance from Head of Department Steve Davis.
How do you feel about being inspected?
Just hope that I remember what I'm doing, you know, keep my wits about me, and that the kids are also responsive as well.
With hundreds of inspections under her belt, School Inspector Claire Gillies leads inspection teams up and down the country. She certainly knows an outstanding lesson when she sees one.
I'm at Beal High School to watch Rebecca Wills teaching Year 8 German. These students have been studying German just over a term.
Rebecca has got just 60 minutes to impress the inspector.
Okay, today the aims of the lesson are to learn how to describe ourselves, what our hair colour is, what our eye colour is, and to describe also what other people look like. Okay, here we go. Blaue Augen. Blaue Augen. Blaue Augen. Blaue Augen. Blaue Augen. Blaue Augen. Ja, was sind sie? Was sind blaue Augen? Good. Blue eyes. Braune Augen. Braune Augen. Braune Augen. Graue Augen. Graue Augen. Also, auf Englisch, wie heißt grüne Augen? Grüne Augen auf Englisch. Good, green eyes.
When you talk to young people and say what to you makes the difference between just a good lesson and one that really is rather special, they'll practically always highlight the teacher's enthusiasm is key to them enjoying and feeling they're really learning well in a lesson.
Noughts and crosses. Ja, also wir haben hier Team A und Team B. Okay, Ramia.
Blonde Haare.
Blonde Haare.
Now nobody can fit.
Okay, yep, Chris.
Zwei. Brune Augen.
Who?
Brune Augen.
Not brune Augen. That's brune Augen. Adiola.
Brown Augen.
Sehr good, braune Augen. Okay, good.
Our teacher, she's not really like other teachers. She always lets us play games and she always makes the lesson really fun and interesting.
Nummer 2, heb die Hand. Welche Buchstabe, Ramia, war das?
D.
Das war D. Okay, tick and cross as you go. I'm going to tell you, yeah, that was correct. Well done.
It helps us because we want to go up and do it on the board, so we do the answers, go up on the board and hopefully learn.
So, Tony Blair. Hat kurze braune Haare. Hat blaue Augen. Who could tell me what does that mean in English?
He has brown hair and blue eyes.
Yeah, and he also
Short
has
brown hair.
short,
Oh,
well done.
short brown
He
hair
has
and
short
blue
brown
eyes.
hair.
When I observe a lesson, I'm looking for certainly lots of exemplary features, but very convincing high-quality learning from certainly the great majority of children in the class.
Now, I was going to give it you in class, but I'll give it you for homework because we're running out of time. There's some that I've just told you who the person is, and you need to write a description about them.
So how did she perform?
Rebecca, thank you very much for letting me share that lesson, and I imagine you're feeling quite tired after it, because you did put a lot of energy into the lesson, and certainly I think we can say that they learnt well. It was a good lesson with some really sparkling features which I'd like to highlight for you. I loved all the repetition techniques. That was great. The getting louder, getting softer. The pictures in relationship to the eye colours. There was lots of fun ways of learning there. If you sort of stand back from that lesson and think what was the thing that perhaps you feel might have brought it up to the really outstanding sort of as a whole, what would it be?
My big issue in my teaching is I am very much, it's all about me, and as a department we do say languages, it is hard to become more pupil-led. It's trying to get the balance because my voice goes and that frustrates me because,
absolutely.
and I'm tired all the time because I'm giving.
And you've got to get them.
Yeah, and it's got to be more about them.
Which is why I think going for more pair, group,
it's less
scenarios.
intense for them.
Less intense for them, but also it gives
Easier
you
for me.
the breather.
Yeah.
There were lots and lots of good things, and as I say, do let's come round to the fact that they all seem to enjoy it. That's wonderful
good.
for them to leave a lesson feeling that they've made real progress. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you as well for your feedback. That was quite encouraging to think, when I start to analyse myself and reflect, actually I'm thinking about the things, and it's stuff that I guess I already know, but now it's that stage of, okay, well, how can I change that?
With the first observation now behind her, the inspector highlighted Rebecca's need to shift the emphasis off herself and onto her pupils, getting them all engaged in the lesson. It's time to bring on the experts. To boost Rebecca's progress, help comes from voice and communications coach Ulrika Schulte-Bauklo and advanced skills teacher Pauline Bullen. They start by watching her lesson.
Welche Nummer ist das? A. Gut, dann ihr schreibt A.
I think from a communication skills side, what I really like is that she is very positive. But what I notice is that gets really difficult to understand her because she gets too fast in the delivery. I think she must feel really tired by the end of the session.
To keep going at this pace is going to be exhausting.
Yes.
She's heading for burnout really quite soon.
So I, from my side, will definitely focus on that one.
I think she needs to identify the starter as the beginning of the lesson in terms of a small episode. So if she thinks about breaking the lesson down into episodes, that would shift the emphasis away from her as well and focus it more on what the students are learning and doing.
Yeah. I have prepared a chart. Just make crosses where we think you are. Your voice, how would you describe this?
I would put myself as well articulated, but the pace is very, very fast. My volume, I'm not, you see, it's not well projected, that's the thing, but I'm not quiet.
So you see, funny enough, you're quiet and loud beside each other because none of those one is what we actually want. What we want is something well projected. I feel that your voice has some kind of limitation in the lower range, but the humming up and down, and particularly starting to listen to your voice, it will actually help you to create more variety for your listeners and for yourself. So you hum and I will draw. Okay, so now I'd like you to take your hand and imagine something velvet, and you are stroking a velvet pillow. We're trying now to increase this a little bit. So I'd like you to imagine this is a ball and we want to roll it over the mountain. So what I like you is really stretch the words because sound has to travel. Grüne Augen.
Blaue Augen.
Other arm. Grüne Augen.
Blaue Augen.
Grüne Augen.
Blaue Augen.
And I'd like you just to give the beginning of an introduction.
Today, what we're going to be doing is learning about physical descriptions, whether we are fat or whether we are thin.
How do you feel?
I felt that when I was accentuating the words that I wanted them to hear, for example, whether you are tall, when I paused and made that longer, that's the word they're going to hear as well, isn't it? In my lesson, I'm definitely going to be focusing on how quickly I'm talking, that actually the kids will understand better what I'm saying rather than just hearing blah, 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 which is what they hear at the moment.
So I'd like to just go through with you some of the highlights of the lesson and where we could start to build some improvements.
Schwarze Haare. Schwarze Haare. Schwarze Haare. Schwarze Haare.
One thing you cannot do is keep up this level of energy and enthusiasm, which at the moment is so present throughout the whole lesson from you, and actually you're doing all the work. If you were going to tell me what percentage of the lesson you have the children flat out working, what do you think that percentage would be?
10%.
And where do we need to switch that?
Well, it needs to be maybe 60-40 or 70-30, I would go to them.
But I would push you a little bit more to think 80-20,
Okay.
I really would. And so in this 20% where you're flat out, that's exactly the kind of thing you should be doing, modelling. But the rest of the time, think of yourself more as a facilitator for learning. Yeah? Okay, Rebecca, so if we're thinking about ways that you can reduce your talk, as a starter, when the children are coming in, you could think about using the idea of having it written up there.
Yep, describing my friends.
So what that does immediately, straight away, you could begin the lesson in German, asking them to either read out today's Objektiven heute. Now, the other thing you can do when you begin to refine it is you could think about levelling it. So you could begin, if you like,
to then put a level next to it. Great, yeah.
So whichever way you look at that, it makes the assessment for learning a natural part of the lesson as it unfolds.
Yeah. So specifically, can you give me some ideas what activities I can do? So we're moving to this 20% me, 80% them.
We're thinking now about getting them to do more work and you not so much work. So we're shifting now to them doing lots of pair work to reinforce the bit you've just done. Yeah? If you build in some kind of, after you've practiced in your pairs, I'm going to select 2 or 3 of you to, show us what you've been doing. So they don't know if they're going to have to come up and do it or do it to the class. So I think if you reward them by upping the challenge, but then of course you'll up the praise, they'll come with you. Yeah. They are captive. You have got them. They will, I think, quite easily move on with you to a harder level. You could try thinking kinesthetic. I mean, word order is a big thing in German. So ordering the words in front of them in pairs. Have you tried the completely taking away your voice?
No. Where I just sort of
lip read.
Okay.
It's amazing how when you completely take away your voice, they become very focused on you and they have to watch you and then they can give you that.
If I was to go like, would you get them to just one person to respond or to get them all to try and then say it?
You can vary it.
So I can just...
You can vary it. Don't be afraid to persist with it because it takes a while to get all these techniques to how you want them. Because what's going to happen with the way I'm suggesting you change your approach is it is going to become less easy to control and it's going to become messy.
With Rebecca's final observation just weeks away, it's back to the classroom to put all that advice into action and raise her game.
Okay, what I'm going to do is hopefully start giving you the objectives in German, and that will help you to think maybe through as you come in. What are we learning today? I've been trying harder, particularly with the objectives, putting those up in German, which is what Pauline encouraged me to do. So I've been trying that. Laut! 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 Musikalisch! 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 With my gestures, I was trying hard, really trying to not talk as fast as normal. Laut! Dieses Mal Ich sage zum Beispiel. Was ist das? You're going to spend 5 minutes with the person you're sat with or you were working with before, describing Miss Manders and Mr. Hewitt. I think today was pretty good in terms of 80-20. I felt a little bit, this is beyond something that I'm comfortable with. But actually when I looked around the class, they were all doing the work. So that I'm becoming much more confident with now. Can somebody now think of another teacher, some of you maybe were preparing this, not one of those, another teacher who we can try and guess who it is?
Friendlich.
Ist freundlich.
Intelligent.
Good.
And
Ist groß, ist klein?
dick.
Ist dick. One girl did say to me at the end, "You gave us a lot of work today, miss." And I went, good, and that was something that Pauline had picked up on. She said, actually the kids will work harder because you're giving them more to do. Well done, you worked very well today. I know, it was hard after PE.
Between lessons, Rebecca shares some MFL practice with fellow teacher Monique Adair.
When you set them off, I don't like to leave them for long because you worry that they're going to go off task, and that I know that that's more beneficial to them to be more independent, but I think that's something I'm scared of, is when I'm at the front, I've got them all on task and I can control what they're doing.
It is a difficult task because you cannot be next to 15 pairs at once. So there's an amount of trust that's got to be there. It helps if you have obviously a helper in the class.
I think that's something I need to really get my confidence in, that trusting the kids to actually do the work rather than just me dictating. What I would like you to do, first of all, in your pairs or your threes, is to work out which of these headings goes with which of the paragraphs. I did get them working in pairs rather than, again, me doing everything. I tried to get them in their little pairs, going over the words they knew already, so I didn't need to teach it again. I'm going to say a heading and then I'm going to pick your group and you need to tell me, what does the paragraph start with? Chris, Julius Geburtstag.
Wie siehst du aus?
Does everybody agree?
No.
Good. Shh. Wie geht's, yeah? Because she's describing her birthday in that sentence. Now, what you're going to be doing is writing up a similar email, but this time it's going to be about you. So those of you who want to get your level 4, this is now where you extend. Describing your family. Don't just say, I have a mum and a dad. You then need to describe what they're like. For the observation lesson, the ideas I've got in my head are not going to be a typical classroom lesson because I'm not going to be actually at the front all the time. They're all going to be on different activities.
With Judgment Day looming, Rebecca gets some last-minute advice from Pauline Bullen.
So what I was thinking of doing, and then this, sometimes it scares me doing this sort of lesson, but I want to do a carousel lesson. So they'll do 15 minutes on a speaking activity, and then also I've got some pictures of famous people that they have to describe. And then also I want to do some computer work as well, because we've got some computers at the back.
So you're not specifically pairing them up, you're going to let them...
No, what I'm going to do is give them a card as they come in with A, B or C written on it, and then that will be their grouping.
You might want to nominate your strongest students as experts and attach an expert to
each group. So does that sound okay?
That sounds like an exciting lesson. Good luck.
No, we'll see how it goes. But,
okay.
All right, take care.
You
Bye.
too. Bye-bye.
I want to be outstanding, and for me that would mean a lot for someone to say, genuinely, you are outstanding because of these reasons, but also the pressure on yourself is quite hard because you're thinking, will I be outstanding? Because it's been such a short amount of time, it can take years to get it in place.
The day of Rebecca's final observation has arrived.
The main thing that Claire picked up on last time, how do we engage all the students? So hopefully that is what she'll say was much improved today. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Claire Gillies is back. It's the moment of truth for Rebecca.
Back at Beale to see Rebecca with her Year 8 German. I'm really looking forward to seeing how her teaching has improved.
Okay, you're in 41. Morgan, you can sit anywhere for now. Today, what you're going to be doing is what we call a carousel lesson. So there's 3 activities. One of them is a computer-based activity, one of them is a speaking activity, and one of them is a writing reading activity. So we're trying to cover the 4 skills. When you go to the computers, there's a website that's got online activities. When you're doing the speaking activity, I've got some famous people, some pictures, yeah, and you can describe to each other what these people look like. On the writing, there's some words in here, lots of different sentences. Using these words, you have to form different sentences. Now, you all were given a letter. Yeah. That letter is your group letter. In each group, I am going to designate an expert. And that is one person who I think, if you're stuck and I'm busy, you could always ask and they might help you. So, we've got Ramia, Sophie and Sana. They can help if you are stuck. So first of all, can all the A's go and sit at a computer? All the B's, can you sit here? If you're a C, then go around on this section, yep.
This is... What sentence? The brother. 100% good.
We don't really use computer much in German or any other languages, and it's just nice for a change, and it's nice to do interactive things, and the teacher doesn't really have to do anything.
Maybe that's 2. It can be... Let's try and attach these together.
Okay, so if you are a letter C, you are going to go on the computers. If you are a letter B, you are going to sit on the back rows. And if you're a letter A, you're here in the middle.
Me doing all the work, I found it easier because if Miss tells you basically everything, and then you're just writing in the answer, but if you have to find things out by yourself, you remember it more and you remember and learn a bit more.
Alright, let's try and find I'm 13. So where's the 13? 13.
Come on, boys.
Yara, where's Yara? Jaga, here. Yara. 13. Have you got Alt? Where's Alt? Yeah, there.
So you need to work out if his birthday is the 14th, when is his?
It was a different lesson because we used cards and things to make sentences instead of just like normally we don't do that. Normally we write. It was a little bit harder because we had to put all the little sentences in the middle, like and it and was and things like that, not just describing words. We had to put it in a proper sentence, full sentence. So it was a bit of a challenge.
Thank you. Right. If you are on the computers, you're moving here. If you're on the back row, you're moving there. And if you're on the middle, you're moving here. Okay, off you go.
So are you describing the teacher's picture?
Yeah, she means
right.
blonde hair and
Have you ever tried
Miss Lion thing?
Yeah. That's what I was going to do.
Eine Minute. Eine Minute.
13 years
Come on, boys. I want to see you do something in the next 1 minute, please.
In the last few weeks, I have learnt quite a lot because I didn't used to know how to say words, and now I could pronounce them at the same time.
Having spent your lesson on these activities, I want you very quickly to just, in silence, by yourself for 1 minute, to put a tick if you're confident on that, a cross if you're really still stuck, or a question mark if maybe you're getting there. And this is to give you an idea of maybe now you're going home to revise what it is you need to do to help you for next week. The things that you're really not confident on, that's the area you need to focus on now.
With all that expert advice and weeks of practice behind her, will Rebecca have made it from good to outstanding?
Rebecca, thank you very much again for letting me share that lesson, and a very different teaching style to the one I saw before. Yeah. Well, let's highlight some of the really sort of good things that within every group there was differentiation, wasn't there? So that it was very much up to them. I think we want to celebrate the sort of the individual progress forward, the really helpful support going on between particularly the girls and actually the 3 little boys, that they really did try and help each other and keep going. You suddenly heard a girl explaining something to her neighbour, and those magic moments when you could feel understanding and was really increasing. We've got to hang on to those because obviously at the same time we have some individuals who didn't get so much out of the lesson as others. So I think if we're honest and look back, you didn't really get them to outstanding learning in that lesson. I hope you'd feel that you hadn't got, they didn't learn as much as I'm sure you wanted them to learn. Now you stand back and tell me what you thought, sort of as a whole, for the whole group, how they got what they got out of that hour.
I mean, I think they worked hard in terms of there was plenty to keep them going. You know, like one of my weaker students, he did make effort today. I know that, he did try, and I felt he could access most of the activities. Sometimes they had too many activities maybe going on, and maybe if I'd just done one more focus activity that would have been more extended, because, some of them were just, we've done it.
Done the same,
and then
yes.
we'll move on, and maybe they hadn't really pushed themselves as hard as they could have done.
I think if we stand back and look at the whole hour, maybe the 3 sessions was quite a lot in one for a whole go, but I think we want to celebrate the sort of the individual progress forward. As you do more of this sort of style of learning, you'll work out what works best, won't you? And I'm sure that you'll be able to merge some of your other really successful teaching styles with the best of that to really get to the outstanding learning.
Achieving outstanding has made me realise it's really difficult to achieve. If I've taken anything away from it, has been moving away from me doing all the work to making the kids do the work, and that is the one thing I'm really grateful for. I think for me it's learning the balance now, that I had a lot of strengths in my old style that I find easy to do, so actually incorporate everything together, and then maybe I might be outstanding for the duration of the lesson.